Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. In this video is to bring you a closer look at the Dorma number 75523 Pocket Hinge. Pocket Pivot is what it's better called. This type of hinge is, if you've ever seen it, it's probably been in a hospital where you'll see it. A pocket pivot, or a hinge also known as a Harmon hinge, and according to E.R. Butler and Company, a website that I would encourage you to review if you are interested at all in magnificent historical period correct type hardware. The Harmon hinge, and I'm reading it from their site, named for its English inventor, is also known as a recessed or pocket pivot hinge. No part of the hinge projects beyond the face of the door in either its open or closed position, nor does it project further off the face of the frame as well. The door may swing clear of its opening and fold back at a right angle to its closed position. If desired, the door can open into a pocket to form a deeply paneled reveal. The Harmon hinge complements both traditional and contemporary architectural styles. It says, if desired, the door can open into a pocket to form a deeply paneled reveal. Okay, so that strikes at the heart of where you use a pocket hinge, but in a hospital scenario, you're going to see a pocket pivot used as shown below this video in the cross section from Dorma. It is incredibly necessary, certainly in a hospital application, to have, obviously hospitals are built to life safety and fire code. Areas requiring fire separation, those walls, fire rated doors exist to allow passage until such a time those doors need to close. You also will quickly realize in a hospital that doors just simply get in the way of everything, but you have to have them. A pocket pivot will allow a door that's out here to open up and get out of the opening, is the bottom line. You can leave, you can have a pair of doors, and that's where you're really going to see them open up. And because of the repositioning of the vertical axis of pivoting, which is down in the frame itself, it permits you to swing that door so that it's now flush with the rabbet and completely concealed out and away. And people will very often walk through openings and see doors that have hardware installed on them, like an exit device. But what the person is looking at doesn't seem to make any sense. Why is this door pushed up against a wall? Well, it's a pocket hinge application. So hospitals are really where you're going to see them most. And again, the cross section down below shows what it would look like in both the open position and then what it would look like in the closed position. They're really not difficult pieces of hardware, and I've machined for them in the past. I've prepped for them in the past, and they're not difficult at all. They do require absolute special treatment to the hinge style of a door. Now, before we get into talking about the machining requirements, the other area that I have toyed with these hinges is I seem to find in utterly custom condos and utterly custom homes the desire for a client to have a door that can operate to a bedroom, let's say, and have that same door operate for a bathroom. So you have a corner jamb, you have a pocket hinge installed, that door can swing and close off the bathroom side, You can also swing and close off the bedroom side as well. So you've got two rooms that are at a 90-degree angle, so to speak, from each other. And really, a pocket pivot is the most elegant way to solve that problem, because you are, in terms of making a balanced square, or at least an L shape installation, because of that vertical axis of pivoting is right down there where it needs to be. For this door to swing here, everything's even. For this door to swing here, everything's even. What we did in that case is you'd have a roller latch, so that the door itself is agnostic in terms of what it's doing. You can have a mortise bolt installed to give privacy. And what we would do in that case is have a double-sided mortise bolt so that you could run it from either side. But generally you'll find in that sort of application, when the door is in the closed position, it's likely occupied. But some sort of a mortise bolt can be done to provide privacy should that be required. Then you'll also see the same concept where you will have a home that has a hallway, and there'll be a pair of doors here and then a pair of doors here. Each of those pair of doors can open into that pocket, and because of the way the pocket hinge works, where the doors will open into a pocket, you can give yourself the look of a paneled enclosure when those doors are in the open position. So you might have, a pair of doors leading to a suite where you would want the finished look, giving you that sort of ability to have the doors in the closed position and everything looks nice for that cross corridor. You could also close them off and create the same sort of look without sacrificing your installation at all, because of the way that this hinge works. And again, I attribute it to the vertical axis of pivoting being placed right here. And any hinge or pivot that you study, it's really a study of what that vertical axis of pivoting, where it's located and how it makes the door move in terms of where it is in the closed position, where it is in the open position, and how the dimensional properties of the door affect the overall opening. So you can absolutely call this a swing clear hinge. Now there are swing clear hinges. They're not pocket pivots like this, but this does that same job, meaning when you open the door to 90 degree, the door is removed from encroaching on the clear opening space of the frame, something that's obviously very important. And minimum clear opening sizes are mandated in code, as a matter of fact. So a pocket hinge is not only permitting you to get the door open and out of the opening, but the way in which it does removes it from any possible encroachment into the clear opening space as well. Why is that important in a hospital? We're moving big, heavy things down the hallways, is why. Hardware, in particular, the closer is a special closer that Dorma can completely supply to you when you're doing that sort of application. When you see it in a hospital, you're going to have electromagnetic hold opens of some sort that may be tied to a local ionization detector, or more likely tied back to a fire alarm panel to allow those doors to close. You may or may not need additional hardware like a coordinator, depending on the rest of your hardware. And as you scroll down and look at the other diagram that's there showing the cross-section of what a steel door looks like in the unit's closed position, and then dashed lines showing you in the opened position, gives you another better look at how that door looks in both of its positions. Now, it's very likely that you are going to require a fire-rated version of this hinge. That's why we endeavor to stock the 75523, because it's a steel hinge that is UL listed. Okay, you're going to need, you're doing fire separation. Pocket doors need to be fire rated. 3-hour fire rated if you're doing steel doors in a hospital. That's probably what you're going to find. Rated for 20-minute applications on wood doors. Maximum door width 4.0. I've seen these on 7.0 and 8.0 door heights. 300-pound door rating. That's exceptional when it comes to a door weight. Overview. Dorma pivots support door weight effectively in a variety of applications. Like all Dorma products, our pivots are available in an array of finishes. We obviously stock the most common finish, the satin chrome, naturally. Okay, you're really never going to see that frame plate at all, never. They can also be used on doors. Panel doors, doors of unusual weight, thickness, or material type. Very long lasting. They have a variety of pivots that will support very heavy weights that we're not going to talk about here. There are some links down below. Let's first start with the cut sheet. The cut sheet is just a dimensional drawing of what is already in the extended description. Let's take a look at the product brochure. Now that's their LM series of items, their pivots. And when you search that document for the part number, pocket pivots happen to be the last page that's there. What's interesting about that page is it will illustrate for you the inherent difference of how a pocket pivot operates compared to a conventional butt hinge. And just remember that encroachment scenario. You either are mandated by code to have a specific not less than minimum clear opening width, but you also might have an application where your client simply wants it to not encroach, or you might be trying to get a single door to do double duty. Okay, having it latch into two separate jambs, which is not common, but we have done it. So that drawing illustrates it better than how I can, further expand on it. I've also used this, and I've just recalled. I've also used a pocket pivot installation to allow the owner of a chain of grocery stores. This will sound odd, but you'd have to know the man. A way by which to obtain access to being able to leave a space without being seen. So what he would do is he'd have the doors to the office in a pocket scenario. This will sound odd. He could open, or I should say close, one of the doors, pull it behind him, and then exit through the pocket to, believe it or not, an oil painting on the other side of that wall. And you know what? It worked. The fella, in his defense, he is an exceptionally busy person. Someone so busy that hypertension is a real measurable problem that I've witnessed. And he just times needed to be able to make a nondescript type of exit or entrance to his office space without going out through the common area to great effect. So I guess, you're only limited by your imagination. No protruding edges. Open door fits completely into the hatched, recessed wall pocket. No dirt or debris buildup behind door. Yeah, okay. I've never heard of that being a problem. But that conventional hinged door, whether it be your concealed hinges, your conventional hinges, pivots, and especially center hung pivots, that all will encroach big time. Now, what also is super cool about the pocket pivot is that it may be able to give you an advantage over a swing clear application, because swing clear hinges will have a severely restricted weight rating on them, where this pocket pivot will dance right through a heavier application. I could not fathom hanging a 300-pound door on swing clear hinges. Other than having lots of hinges that are heavyweight and very tall, this will handle a better weight range. So that is the link to the pocket brochure, the product brochure. The technical drawing that's there is of no use to us. We've already covered that, or will cover it. There is a link to a document called Template. That is where I was going with that. We don't have to talk about that right now because we've got it in the technical drawing, and that is basically going to be attached or included with the hardware. So what we see is, and I would encourage you to do an internet search for Harmon hinge or pocket hinge, especially Harmon hinge. That will show some really great results when you're searching online. I was able to find some incredibly elegant images of how they've been installed to great effect. When that door is closed, you don't see anything. When the door is open, you don't see much. You don't see much. In fact, let me rephrase that. You don't see anything when the door is in the open position other than the face of the hinge. All you will see is this, and your door is going to occupy this space with the only with nothing added, because the door is going to come right up to this area. You will literally only see that. Okay. I would encourage you to review. You will find magnificent examples of architectural metal work on Harmon type hinges and others. I can see that there are some people there that make the Harmon style hinges outrageously large. They must be hanging magnificently heavy and thick, exquisite doors. Okay. Incredibly custom, one-off sorts of hardware. Now to the templating. The most important thing that you have to understand immediately, looking at page 2 of what we're calling the template, is the lower left-hand corner. That's a hollow metal door. You see that you have that inverted channel in the hinge edge of the hollow metal door. That is mandatory to have that. This portion of the hinge must sit inside of the inverted channel, while the face of the door is going to come back here, okay, and cover and giving you a standard margin. As the door articulates or cycles into its open position, you need to have that inverted channel so that it can dance over that outside corner. If you didn't have that inverted channel, you would get the door open to about there, and then it wouldn't open anymore. The dimensions for that channel we will reveal. I don't see it immediately here, the door prep. I see the frame prep. Oh, I see. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a moment. A wood door, since you can't really have that same effect on a wood door, even though you can, it would be wrong. You would literally do a ball type of concave prep route to the entire style of the door, top to bottom, so that now it's curved and will still operate around the door. Okay. Regardless, you have to accommodate that style. The good news is you never see any of that when the door is in the open position or in the closed position. A door person like me, when I'm in a hospital, I will look at that and I will notice it, but the average person would never notice it. On page 2, you can see the preparation that they are requiring in the edge of the steel frame. And that's going to be the smaller of the two leaves. And we can see that we have a 6 3/4. Yeah, we have a 6 1/4 prep, indeed. And we've got a prep that's the width of that face, they're not really giving us clearly, but that's measuring at about 1 9/16. You will make a preparation to the face of the jamb on the pull side as shown in the lower right hand corner of that document. That's 1 21/32 tall. That's going to have an 1 3/4 cut back. So the point of that is you have a relatively deep cut on the face of the frame. That you would see this when the door is in the closed position. You will see this. Forgive me. You're going to see that prep. You won't see the hinge plate really, but you'll see this preparation. When that door opens, you don't see nothing. But now when you look at the jamb of the frame, you'll see this. Now, that inverted channel depth, they're looking at 9/16 for that information. Okay. 9/16, I'd say that would be spot on. This is the plate that's going to mount to the edge of the door. They're saying 5.5 inch on that. And then 1 9/32 wide. So 5.5. I like to put the tape measure on things just to make sure. Looked like it was a little shy on that. And then 1 9/32. Yeah, so just heavy on 1 1/8. This hinge is heavy, by the way. I'll let you know the weight before we get too much further. On page 1 of the document, we are able to review all of the dimensional properties that your manufacturer would need to know in order to locate the hinge reinforcing plates in the steel door and steel frame. Any any manufacturer of hollow metal doors will be able to do that without trouble. Then there's the installation instructions, and they give us mostly all of the same sort of information. Prepare the door and frame for the leaves as shown on the template. Center lines of the pivot must be in alignment to prevent binding between door and jamb. Sure. The center line of the hinge is going to be the same sort of industry standard that you would have for the center line of a standard hinge. Meaning if you're, have an 1/8 of an inch margin at the top of the door to the underside of the header, you have to account for that to adjust your center line. Your door will be an 1/8 of an inch smaller in that sort of example. You will see the on page 1 of the installation instruction, top near right, you'll see the radius type. They're looking for a 1 9/32 radius. So a pretty big ball bit is going to go through there and prep that. If you were doing fire-rated doors, you'll certainly have the manufacturer make that prep. The upper left-hand corner gives us a much nicer look at what the inverted channel looks like in the hinge style. Okay, that 9/16 dimension is again revealed. Then there's the bevel type, which I have personally never seen. I've only seen it illustrated online. That would be for a wood door application. That may be a result of tooling. Maybe you're going to do it that way because you've got the tooling to do it that way. Which very likely, I suppose, could be. That would be a multiple step operation. But the bits I could understand would be a whole lot less expensive than buying a ball bit to give you that concave prep. But if it's a wood door, I see the concave prep. The radius type is what I generally will see when I see it as a wood door. And obviously you can't do either of that stuff really in a steel door, so you'll see the inverted channel. There is reference to a shim. There's no shim included. If you're doing a fire-rated door, absolutely be sure that you are using a steel shim. Don't stick your business card in behind there to shim it out. And if you are, use your competitor's business card, because that would be a violation of fire code. Don't do that. Machine screws are included. They look like they're 1/4 20. We endeavor to keep these on hand because it is a 1/4 20. I was verifying that. We endeavor to keep these on hand because I can go a year and not sell any of these hinges, and then I'll have someone who needs 10 tomorrow. They need them. So we do try to keep these, a small quantity of these on hand. Okay, really great looking type product used in those applications. If you run into a situation where someone's calling it out and it's not straightforward to you, reach out to me. I'd be happy to discuss this with you. There are other people who make these, there's no doubt. Dorma is a name that is specified often with this material. I don't know why, except perhaps the Dorma name is quite known, accepted, familiar within the industry. And I could stock it by others, but what I have found is, well, I don't keep Dorma, but I keep brand XYZ. No, I can't take brand XYZ because we've already prepped the doors for the Dorma hinge. And while the templating I have found is incredibly close, is not exact. And in metal work, an 1/8 of an inch, even a 1/16 of an inch, you might as well be off a mile. It just doesn't matter at that point. So that's why we keep the Dorma product. Now, the other reason I choose to keep the Dorma hinge versus others and then just take it or leave it scenario is Dorma is a relatively well-oiled machine when it comes to order entry and customer service. Not relatively, I would say that they're above average. But where they really excel, for me personally, is there's the gentleman in technical support there who, without exception, replies to my technical questions, does so fully and completely, tolerates the chronic questions, is incredibly helpful, allows me to either directly or indirectly service the Dorma product line, whoever is calling me. Being able to leverage the factory is crucial. There are manufacturers that I deal with that I know that I will never get a response from their technical support department. What do you want me to do? I can't help you. I wish that I could. The academic curiosity, the academic pursuit of the finer points of this industry is a lifelong career choice for me, and I'm able to get success when I can get a response, and Dorma embodies that with their technical support, and that gentleman knows who he is. Maximum degree of opening is 90 degree. That is for sure. You've got basically a dead stop on that hinge, but I've never seen this hinge need to do anything beyond 180 degree. I could fathom how someone could make a beyond 90. I can fathom how a manufacturer could make a 180 degree version. And I would bet that that might exist. I'm just thinking out loud. Yeah, I suppose if you wanted that door to open like this for some reason, I'm looking at what it might take to manufacture that, and I don't see why it couldn't work. But I would really encourage you to search online and look for these images that I'm looking at when it comes to the application of Harmon or pocket pivots. Really unique sort of applications. I'm looking at one right now of a pair of doors, actually an opening that has 4 leaves, 2 outer, 2 inner. The inners are hinged to the outer panels with what might be an olive knuckle hinge. It's not an olive knuckle hinge, forgive me. It has a short dimension vertical axis of pivoting from the face of the door. Those 2 outers fold back against, those 2 inners fold back against the outers. Then it all folds back against the wall. And that pocket pivot is what's holding that outside. The thickness of the two panels put together, along with the hinge that's hinging the two panels together and its vertical axis of pivoting, allow it to fold up neatly and stack to one side. And that's a beautiful example of a pocket hinge, a pocket pivot, I should say. It would be important to understand that that vertical axis of pivoting is quite tight to the face of the door, so that when they fold together, you don't have much margin between the two doors. And you know, the interesting thing is you can lay applications like this out, like those high-end condos and homes, and I've seen that two doors doing one job scenario. You've got the templates. You have access to all of that information, and you can easily make all of that work for you. The neat application, they're just beautiful hinges. You don't often have time to be able to appreciate some of the beautiful types of doors and hardware. But the magnificent thing about hardware is that it has, over the decades and in fact centuries, been able to continue to solve problems. I don't know when the first patent of the Harman hinge existed, but there's no doubt that it is 100 years old. And here we are today talking about a piece of hardware that continues to perfectly solve particular applications. Talk about, you know, the 19th century version of the iPhone. You know, game changer is the bottom line, what I'm driving at. Finally, there's a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up not only all of the Dorma products that we sell, but a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. Any questions on the Dorma? 75523, and it's available in other finishes. They'll give you prime coat, they'll give you chrome, they'll give you brass, they'll give you bronze and oil rubbed, so no problem with any of that as well. Any questions on the 75523 Dorma Pocket Pivot or any other Dorma product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you